Okay, we are at 5.5, I believe. Is that right, you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this is called factoring. And go ahead and put your name and date and class period. And the EQ is how do we factor? And remember I said in elementary school you guys learned how to factor and you did this thing called the GCF.
Oh yeah, we did that.
So on the left hand side, right, GCF. And this stands for greatest
Common factor.
Good. Greatest common factor. This is the biggest number that you can factor out of a product. So we're going to do some examples. It's normally with two numbers. That's how they gave it to you in elementary school. So example 1. If you have 4 and 8, the greatest number that you can factor out, meaning you can divide out of both 4 and 8, what is that number? You guys can say it out loud. 4. Good. You cannot take 8 out because 8 does not go into 4.
Wait.
Okay? You only can take 4. 4 goes into 4 and 4 goes into 8. That's the greatest number that you can divide. Raise your hand if you remember that from elementary.
I do.
Good.
I
All right, example 2.
I'm confused.
4x, now I'm putting some algebra, and 8x. You just told me between 4 and 8 it was 4. What else can I divide out of both of these?
X.
X. Good. So the answer is 4x. Not very different, is it?
So you just add the letter next to it?
Okay? Yep. If both terms have an x, then you can take an x.
But what if they don't?
Okay? Well, I'll show you that one. Example 3. 4x and 8. What is the only thing that I can factor out of both of these? 4. Because the 8 does not have an x, so I can only take 4. Okay? So when you're looking at it, you're looking for the biggest number that goes into both of these things. But if it doesn't have the variable or the matching variable, you cannot call that the GCF. You can only take the number. Question?
Can you explain it?
This is the biggest number that goes into both of these, right?
It's small though. It's only 4.
Right, but it goes into both of these. There's no number bigger that goes into both of these.
Then
Someone confused me. Stop.
Okay, example 4. We'll get back to it some more, don't worry.
so it's basically
Example 4. 18a, comma, 20ab. So let's work with the numbers first. Start with the smaller number. Does 18 go into 18? Yes. Does 18 go into 20?
no.
No, not evenly. So now we go to the next thing that we think could go into both of these. So a factor of 18 would be 9. Does 9 go into 20 evenly?
No.
No. Okay, so let's cut that into thirds maybe because we know 6 times 3. Does 6 go into 20 evenly?
Negative.
No. So how about 3? Does 3 go into 20 evenly? No. So we have to go all the way down to 2. Does 2 go into both of these? Yes, because 4 doesn't work for 18, right? So that's kind of how, unless you guys know, and some people just know right off the bat what it is, but sometimes it's just guess and check, process of elimination, right? So we know 2 goes into 18 how many times? 9. And 2 goes into 20, 10. Okay? So we know 2 is part of the greatest common factor. And now what letter can I also factor out? A. I can't take AB because there's no B on the first term, right? So it's just 2A. So what that means is 2 is the biggest number that goes into both of these numbers evenly. And then the A also goes into both of these numbers.
I don't really get what.
Okay? All right, example 5. Let's do 12 CD and 36 CD. A little bit easier one. What number goes into both 12 and 36?
12.
12, and that's the biggest number, right, that we can do. So 12, and can I take both C and D now? Yes, because it's in both terms. So the answer is 12 CD. Okay, we're going to do, it was one of the examples, that's why I have you look at the book first. We're going to do a couple you tries with just this basic stuff. So the first you try, and again, you just raise your hand, don't yell it out, is 12 and 28C. You guys find the GCF of 12 and 28C. Raise your hand when you think you know the answer. Only one, two people think they know. Okay, what do you think it is?
6.
6? Okay, does 6 go into 28 evenly?
No.
Nope.
No.
Oh, I got it.
Nyanza? 2. There's one bigger.
Over here.
2 is a factor, but it's not the greatest.
I got it, Miss. I got
Bella? 4. 4 is the correct answer.
Let's get hyped.
So 4 goes into 12 3 times and 4 goes into 28 7 times. We cannot put the C because 12 doesn't have the C. You guys see it now?
No.
We'll do another one. Let's do a little bit easier one for you. 25x and 15xy. Again, do not yell out the answer. Just quietly raise your hand when you think you know. Quietly being the key word.
I got it.
Okay, Logan, what do you think it is? 5, and any variables I can take out of there? 5x is correct. So, for those of you who are still not sure, you could start with the lower number and say, does 15 go into 25 evenly? No. So then you'd have to go down to 10. 10 doesn't go. Then you'd have to go to 5. So it's process of elimination. All right. Now, where we're going to take this is a whole different story. So we're going to do example 6. And some of you saw this in the book. That's okay. It will say something like this. Factor 3x plus 9. Now I have a binomial, and I have to factor it. So I have to figure out what number goes into both of these terms. So I know the GCF is 3 because I know 3 goes into 3 and 3 goes into 9. So this is how you want to write it with algebra. You take the 3 on the outside of the parentheses, and then you write parentheses like that. So you basically do a 3 and then a blank set of parentheses. And now you have to figure out, if I divide 3 into 3x plus 9, what's left over? So 3 goes into 3x how many times? 1, and there's an x left over, isn't there? So the x that's left over goes there. I don't have to write the 1. And how many times does 3 go into 9? 3. So I just write plus 3. And this is the algebra factoring. Yep. So I'm going to write this for you guys. Sure. I'll say it and I'll write it so some people can have it. Factoring is the opposite of distributing. In a sense, you are dividing. So I'm going to put in parentheses, you divide. So factoring is the opposite. So what we did was we did 3 goes into 3x 3 times. 3 goes into 9 3 times. We're left over with the x plus 3. Now, remember how I said you can check your work? So write check. And then rewrite it, 3 times x plus 3. And then draw your rainbows. And what does it have to equal? 3x plus 9. So now 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 3 is 9.
I get it now.
And check, it works. Question?
So basically, what if there's like the GCF is 1? So
Then you cannot factor it. It's not factorable.
would it
And you will get problems like
would
that.
it just be like 1 and then parentheses 2x plus 7?
Nope, you don't even, you just write not factorable.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Will there be questions like that?
Yes, there will be questions like that. There will be questions where you cannot factor, just like in elementary school when they had prime numbers and you couldn't factor. Okay, let's do another one. So I have to turn my page over. I'm on example 7. Example 7 will say factor, and we'll do 12x plus 7y.
Why are you writing factor?
Because that's what we'll say on the problem. It'll say factor this.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do we know about these two numbers? There's a lot of things that go into 12. Is there anything that goes into 7?
No.
No.
Only its own.
And notice there's 2 different variables. There's an x and a y. So Zeke was asking you a moment ago, will we get problems like this where we can't factor it? Yes. So for this problem, you would say no common factors. And that's your answer. You cannot take anything out of this. You cannot divide anything equally, evenly, in any way because 7's a prime number. All right, example 7, or example 8, sorry. Example 8, factor 4x minus 28. Let's find the GCF. We know there's one here because I see a 4 and a 28. So the GCF is 4. 4 goes into 4 and 4 goes into 28, doesn't it? Okay, so that means 4 goes on the outside of the parentheses, and then draw your blank parentheses there. How many times does 4 go into 4x?
1.
Or just x, right? How many times does 4 go into 28? But what about the negative? Do you think we have to put that?
Yeah.
Yes, we do. Now let's check. Rewrite it. Draw your rainbows. What's 4 times x?
4.
What's 4 times negative 7? Does that match our original?
Yeah.
Check. Done. So you can see that you can 100% guarantee the right answer if you check your work. Okay? I'm going to give you guys a you try. Just one you try. 3x plus 33y. Factor that. Just raise your hand when you think you know. Some people are very fast at this.
Done.
Okay, raise your hand if you think you know. Okay, Ryan, what do you think the GCF is?
3.
3. Did everybody agree with 3?
Yeah.
So now we have to write 3 on the outside of the parentheses and then blank parentheses. And what did you put in the middle, Ryan? What did you put inside the parentheses?
X plus 11 and y.
That's very good. Some people probably forgot the y.
Oh, I know.
Do you guys see the y here?
No.
Okay, so let's check. Three times x is 3x. 3 times 11 is 33. And we have a y. Good job. Raise your hand if you remembered the y. Good, because I tried to trick you a little by putting 2 variables there, but you guys got it. Okay, so we're going to do some practice problems in the book. Let me write these here so you guys can write them down. And I think they're on the board too, right? So it starts on page 419, and it goes to 421. And we're going to do numbers 1 through 9 all, 16 and 17, and then 20 through 31 all. Seems like a lot, but they go pretty quickly. So open up your book to page 419.